For the purposes of the minutes, this meeting will be recorded. Thank you.
Welcome everyone to the 28th of February 2023 council meeting. The acknowledgement of country will be read by Councillor Bowditch.
I'd like to start with a little acknowledgement that we are meeting on always was, always will be Wanneroo land. Now that we are here and have been elected in the community to deliver to as our elders of the land that we are meeting on today done in the past. With this, I would like to invite you onto our country to deliver as a councillor and acknowledge where we are here today, also the visiting guests. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and pay our respects to our elders, past, present, future, and any elders of the current or Aboriginal people in our meeting and any Torres Strait Islanders. We also recognise the strong ongoing connection of First Nations peoples of the lands and waters where we do our works and their commitment to care for the country.
Thank you, Councillor Bowditch. The civic prayer by Councillor Leckey.
Almighty God, from whom comes every good, perfect gift, we give you thanks for the blessings you bestow upon us in this Shire. Grant to those who hold office in this council the spirit of justice and truth, of wisdom and charity, that mindful of our responsibility and of the needs of those we serve, we may promote the true welfare of your people, exercise wisely and faithfully the authority committed to us, and advance the common good through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. That's not what it's about there. Sorry, just get volumes. No correction. We have no apologies. And applications for a leave of absence, but we do have some applications by audio visually by Councillor Marshall and Councillor Douglas. So I have some moved by Councillor Bowditch, seconded by Councillor Drayton. All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. Confirmation of the previous minutes. Councillor Woodruff moved, seconded by Councillor Barry. All those in favour, please raise a hand. So that unanimous and carried. Disclosures of any pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. We'll go to my left around the table if there is any.
So I have an insignificant non-pecuniary for item 16.5 for the solar panel installation. My employer is assisting with the design of this installation.
Thank you.
Okay, mine's in closed council, 16.1, the Hill Street roadworks and car park tender. My daughter is a employee of the company, and also in closed council 16.2, the tender assessment already, the same employer is mentioned in that report. And in closed council 16.4, the concierge pilot program, I'm employed by the Department of Regional New South Wales.
Councillor. Anyone down there? On screen? I'll go on screen first. Brett, sorry.
16.1. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll start with ladies first. Deanne.
Yep.
Councillor Douglas.
9.1.4, page 114, the monthly report to council. I have a pecuniary interest as Wanneroo LAC has lodged a DA as listed. 9.4.3, page 275, the 2022-2023 operational plan. I have a pecuniary interest as it lists Muswellbrook Common Project Design and Concept Plan, which is done prior to my time at the LAC, and I'm employed by the Land Council.
Thank you, Councillor Douglas. Councillor Marshall.
Yep. 16.1, Hill Street. As my daughter works for the company, and the tendered for it, and or won the tender. And 16.2, Bylong Valley Way is the same. The daughter works for the company who tendered.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Woodruff.
Yes, I have one, Mr. Mayor. In planning and environment, item 9.1.4, page 114, the monthly report to Council for Planning, Environment and Regulatory Services. I have a pecuniary interest, Mr. Mayor. I currently have a DA under assessment.
Thank you, Mr. Councillor Woodruff. Councillor
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two items to declare. Item 11.1, page 544, notice of motion remuneration for regional planning panel member. I'm a member of the Muswellbrook Wine Club, as is Mr. Taylor, who made the beneficiary. And item 16.5, solar panel installation. Pecuniary interest because my employer is involved in the installation.
Councillor Lecky? Councillor, sorry, do you have any?
No.
No? Okay, thank you. Councillors, been through for 6 there, just come up to the mayoral minute. There is a mayoral minute. At the local government New South Wales 2018 and 2022 conferences, councils resolved to support the Uluru Statement from the Heart and called for a referendum to be held in the current term of the federal parliament. Later this year, Australians will have their say in a referendum on whether to update the constitution to include an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice to parliament. The referendum is part of the federal government's commitment to implementing the Uluru Statement from the Heart. It is proposed that the structure and role of the voice will be decided by Parliament through legislation with members to be chosen by First Nations people, and it will provide a permanent means to advise the Australian Parliament and government on the views of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples on matters that affect them. This month, Council attended the Hunter Joint Organisation meeting. We have the mayors of the Hunter resolved to provide a report to their respective councils regarding progressing the proposed voice to Parliament. As the closest level of government to their communities, councils are well placed to seek feedback from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples about the voice to Parliament. Locally, we have partnerships with the Wonnarua Aboriginal Lands Council, Council's Aboriginal Advisory Committee and other stakeholders. There's a recommendation there that council officers commence consultation with the Wonnarua Local Aboriginal Lands Council and the Aboriginal Cultural Inclusion Committee about how they wish the council to proceed in relation to progressing the voice to Parliament and report the outcome back to council. Councillor, I'll move that way. Councillor second, moved by Councillor Woodruff, seconded by Councillor Bowditch. All those in favour, please raise a hand. That unanimous and carried. Which brings us on to public participation, and we have one person in public participation tonight to speak on item 11.1. It's just incorrect on my sheet, I apologise, which is Mr. Granville Taylor. Mr. Taylor, it's not your first answer, you know how things work. I'd like to know again, please. You have 2 minutes and time for questions.
Is it possible more than 2 minutes? Because it's a very complex presentation.
We can ask for an extension, but yeah, hopefully we can keep this brief.
Is this a microphone?
Yes, that is a microphone, so people on screen can hear.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to come along tonight to inform you on item 11.1. And by accident, I think what we've seen is a remuneration package which was actually formulated on a local planning panel, whereas the appointment, in fact, is to a regional planning panel. The names may sound the same, but there's no overlap between them. And in fact, they have completely different characteristics. I supplied the information in advance, which I believe was circulated, in the hope that at least that's a takeaway or something you can consult. Let me first of all say that regional planning panels are much more complex affairs and deal with applications which can't be dealt with by councils in local planning panels or otherwise. The reason is they're either more significant, generally over 30 million, or they refer to a specific industry, extractive or waste, or in fact are a matter involving council. There are in fact 9 regional planning panels, and in our particular case, we're the Hunter and Central Coast Regional Planning Panel, which since 2011 has actually had 10 development applications determined. The average time of that has been 7 months, but the longest one, which is still running, is around 14 to 15 months. These meetings are not individual meetings. They actually take place over an extended period, and it may involve a site visit, a public meeting, and maybe up to 4 or 5 different briefings, as well as considerable report reading and preparation. So the example I've given is that basically one meeting has so far gone on for about 16 hours and is still ongoing after 14 months. The operational procedures are run to 38 pages for this particular panel, and remuneration is actually very confusing, and I think that's the problem we had in terms of the initial formulation. There's no fault by anyone except the government, who haven't been very specific, and it is very hard to find the information. I think there is a better way. I believe that it will be achieved, but not tonight. In terms of the two payment panels, there are actually two long-winded: classification and remuneration framework. Okay. Could I have that, Sam, again? Is that possible? I'll try and move it along here. So basically, those panels are described and have remuneration levels for the different appointees. The panel members appointed by the state government receive 866 per day plus super and 1,435 per day for a member. This is also another category of member where the remuneration for that member was determined in 2012, and that's the extract I've given there. Government members are appointed via an application, information back, and interview. The term committee representative is no longer used, but as you can see in the printout, people are now referred to as members. Local planning panels are a completely different story. There are 36 of them. They meet more frequently. In fact, it's not unusual, and I think I gave an example of Inner West, who've convened 16 meetings in 2022, and they pay their community representatives, as they're called, a minimum of $500 per meeting plus GST and $71 per hour. But that doesn't have a number of hours linked to it. It's simply a payment. If the meeting's 40 minutes, they get $500. If the meeting's 5 hours, they get $500. On average, a meeting's 2 hours and 40 minutes, which is roughly $187.50 per hour. In terms of, do we have any examples which are public? The only one I was able to ascertain was from Sutherland Shire, and they actually have a policy of paying $600 at the start and $150 an hour for briefing. I've modeled something similar for Muswellbrook as an idea, based on that, to say that what we should have is a similar base of about $600, but the Sutherland model only applies to briefings. I have looked at an hourly rate, which is about half of that, but included briefings and preparation time, particularly in terms of extensive reports, which if they're not read, basically a panel member wouldn't be in a position to formulate a determination. The rate of remuneration I've proposed is essentially similar to Sutherland Shire, and they in fact have got two councillors appointed to their particular panel. The only other thing I'd say tonight, and this is in relation to point D, where D, the suggestion is that payments are capped to a maximum of $2,000 per determination. I respectfully request councillors vote against this amendment based on two things. One, no member of the panel has any ability to control the length of time required.
On that,
Yep.
I have communicated that email.
Right, that's okay.
So,
That's good. Is there time for questions?
There's
Or
time for questions. Councillors, is there any questions that you would like to ask Councillor McNeil?
So can you outline your skills or your qualifications?
I did present a CV, I think, when I first nominated the council back in March last year. That's it, since I note that I haven't actually received any payment yet. But my career essentially started in Oxford, where I have a master's degree. I also have a graduate diploma, a graduate degree in management from RMIT University, and I was appointed a master stockbroker during my time as a member of the Australian Stock Exchange. I have approximately 34 years experience covering all forms of industry, including aspects of property development and property investment. I also on occasions handle community work, including starting a committee called Machine, which pushed for Muswellbrook Hospital to be rebuilt. And on occasions, I've lobbied areas involving council development applications, and successfully went to Office of Local Government and suggested that this council shouldn't invest in a biorefinery. In the end, that saved council investing 13.6 million, but that biorefinery is now being built, and I'm in touch with some of the senior staff and helping them. I'm quite happy to disclose further details if anybody requires them.
It's come to my attention today in the conversation briefing. We previously had a JRPP member many years ago. And because when we advertised, it didn't have the remuneration for it, but was doing it as community service. Are you aware of that?
No. The first discussion I had was with the former general manager, who said, I think in about April or May, that she would formulate remuneration as soon as possible. So it was always assumed that it was a remunerated position, and the planning panel secretariat have confirmed that since.
Questions?
Taylor, you mentioned some figures earlier. It was $1,400 a day figure. Those are people employed by the state government. Is that correct? They're employees, or they're employed by the state government.
They're not an employee. They're appointed to as a panel member, and they're not responsible to the minister.
Yes, I should say they're paid for by the state government.
That's right.
They're employed for. I imagine they're employed for a specific skill set. There's a number of them. So whatever skill set that might be required for whatever the determination might be.
The position of chair, which is $1,866 per day. There used to be meeting rates, but that was deemed unfair in that it's never a single meeting. So they now pay them a daily rate. The chair needs to have particular skills in terms of handling meetings as well as technical skills. The state member still has to have those technical skills, but not the ability to chair. And then a member, which sadly isn't defined. It's now taken over the role of community representative, but is basically very poorly defined anywhere in the government documents, except in those councils who've specified them in their appointments.
Second question, if I may. You mentioned that some comparisons, I understand, you've been meeting with Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Reynolds. You mentioned some figures that other members were getting paid on some other panels. How did you come across those figures? And first of all, the reason I asked that is because certainly until now, this council have kept this confidential, which I understand is the norm. That's what councils do. You found these figures, did you? Because these councils had made it public.
That's right. In fact, it is in general, most councils do keep their matters discussed in closed council and don't reveal it. What I'm trying to do at the moment with the panel is in terms of each particular panel being Hunter, Central Coast, etc., that councils as members of that should in fact reveal to the secretariat the range of payment paid, and that should be disclosed not by each individual council, but to give every other council an idea what the range is. But to answer your question, the one council which was actually mentioned and found in a Google search was Sutherland Shire Council, which is the one I quoted of a $600 base and $150 per hour of briefing time. I did actually write to the Deputy Mayor and she confirmed that, and I've given a copy to the General Manager and the Mayor.
Are you aware the two, so you said there was two, Sutherland and another one, was it?
Tweed haven't responded yet. I've seen their requirements for a person on that panel, but they haven't responded with an amount of remuneration.
Okay, so there's just one at the moment. and you
Just
say
one.
Sutherland.
Yep.
Are you aware of the skill set that member has at Sutherland?
Well, there are two. They're both councillors, and their experience is largely based on experience on council.
Okay, so they're both councillors. huh?
Yes. Yep.
Just to correct that, if I may, they're councillors, they're paid separately to be on this committee through Sutherland Shire.
That's right. There is, in fact, I have two other inquiries still to answer. One is an old one going back to 2012, I think, in Uralla, and they actually sought an opinion and received an opinion, which I can't confirm, from the minister at the time, and he determined that councillors on Uralla would receive $600 extra payment in addition to their own fees, that a non-councillor member would receive $1,400 per meeting. But that, quite honestly, doesn't make sense because you can't have a discrete meeting on these panels. But if I can get more information, I'll certainly pass it on.
Yeah, one is, I think, trying to, you know, government remuneration. So, well, governments, they're closed, they're private, so that's come out. Not surprising that's come out, but you don't have to answer this one. You mentioned the other councils, there's so many of these committees that are in. Have you applied to become one of the members of one of the other council committees or only this one?
No, I think it will be a conflict of interest potentially, but and I don't have the time to travel to other council areas. Even in working on this panel, in one case, a site visit took 3 hours. I don't really want to go to South Sydney and travel to site visits there. It's not part of what I'm doing. But to answer your first part of the question, and the links are available to you, the government framework of payments, which I have quoted, there are two of them. One, it's quite a mouthful. It's actually on the first page. So if you click the link called Classification and Remuneration Framework for New South Wales Government Boards and Committees, you'll actually see a very old list of remuneration. The New South Wales Government Boards and Committees remuneration is a newer one, which is last year, and involves particularly the Hunter and Central Coast Regional Planning Panel, and lists the two payments to other committee members nominated by government. So it's quite public.
Just don't have to wait for any other final questions from councillors. Are you, just if I can, are you opposed to a capped amount?
For the reasons I've stated, yes, in that I don't have any control. I can't suddenly switch off at $2,000 and say, I'm taking the ball and going home. It's very unlikely that remuneration is going to exceed $2,000. But if it did, it would mean that the last meeting, which is the determination, the most important meeting, I wouldn't necessarily be inclined to attend because I'm being asked to do it for free. It's a remunerated position.
Further questions?
Mr. Taylor, you mentioned community work involving a machine. Were you remunerated for that?
No, it's a committee I formed, and all members of the committee, in fact, became joint committee members and actually put funds in for the sake of the community. So we actually formed that committee and worked diligently for, I'd like to say something like 2013 to 2020. So that's 7 years.
No questions on screen? Thank you very much for your time. I will say that Alan is actually questioning credibility. You did a fantastic job for our community, and yes, please hang around for the meeting.
Okay, please you'll discuss this in closed council tonight, will you?
It's been put forward as a motion, so the document is public. So
What we've just discussed, we've actually discussing the hiring of consultant in open council with rates. One question, governance of that. I also have a question.
I'll just
the fact that council has put the notice of motion up. and then identify a conflict of interest.
Through the chair, on the second one, yes, insignificant non-pecuniary, as we know that can do that, but on the first note, I'll ask through the general manager and the government's to the work.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Councillors, that wasn't considered at the time. We considered it to be a matter that could be discussed in open council. It's a matter of not relating to an individual, but to a role for council. We thought,
An individual talk to us about his rates of pay.
yes, I guess it's about the public interest and whether the public interest was served by the discussion being held in open council or in closed council. It may well, from that perspective,
Look, it's in.
we consider that the public interest was served. Could I please just pass on to our governance team, please?
So we've got the code of meeting practice grounds on which meetings can be closed to the public. And it identifies confidential grounds. This report does not meet. So that's why it's.
So I'd back that by saying that this was public information. Mr. Taylor was advised of it. Councillor McNeil has put forward a motion on the basis that it was seen to be not in the interest of the person, and they have come forward to speak on the item.
Yeah, I'm not arguing against it. I just
Yep.
wanted, before we
Clarification?
put a vote to it, I wanted to make sure we were doing something.
I don't expect to be appointed in perpetuity, so it is for other people as well. Thank you.
Okay. And do we have number 8, business arising from previous minutes? There is nil. Which now brings us to 9.1, point 1, which is the DA of the planning agreement for the waste transfer station at 32 to 36 Glen Munro Road, Muswellbrook. We have a council recommendation from staff there. Moved by councillor Scholes, seconded by councillor Woodruff. All those, any discussion? Those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous, noting the guys on the screen. 9.1.2, council development application, conflict of interest management policy. There is one there for being put on notification for 28 days of the resolution. Councillor Lecky and Councillor Barry. Move a second. Any discussion? I declare that, well, commit that to a vote. All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. 9.1.3, administrative amendment, removal of heritage item 1 as L112, Muswellbrook Brickworks. I'll go through this resolution. It is there in front of us, but council's recommendation is they prepare a planning proposal pursuant to section 3.33 of the Environmental Planning Assessment Act 1979 for an amendment to the Muswellbrook Local Environmental Plan 2009, MLEP 2009, to remove the item, is it I? Well, it's an I112, and any references to the same from Schedule 5, Part 1 of the Muswellbrook Local Environmental Plan 2009. 2, request a gateway determination from the Department of Planning and Environment and exhibit the proposal in accordance with the determination pursuant to sections 3.34 and 3.35 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979, and request that the Director General of the Department of Planning and Environment issue a written authorisation to Council to exercise delegation of the plan-making functions under section 3.36 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979 in respect of the planning proposal. Do I have anyone to speak to it or against? Need someone to move it?
I'll move it.
Moved by councillor Scholes, seconded by councillor Lecky. Any discussion?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I still stand, as per my discussions earlier, that I'm not for. It's still part of the cultural heritage of this area. It's still someone's place of employment, someone's family's place. I don't agree with.
Given that it was earlier, you have to, for the process of the meeting now being public, explain why.
So this was built over 50 years ago. In our local heritage, it states that we Heritage States Muswellbrook Environment Plan 2009, conserve the environment, heritage of Muswellbrook, and also conserve the heritage and significance, including associated fabrics of places in Muswellbrook, and conserve the environmental and Aboriginal artefacts and heritage in Muswellbrook from the Schedule 5 of the LEP. Noting that it's over 50 years ago, it's still classed as a heritage listed site, so I think we should be looking at options that we can maintain that site.
Manager, does the response from the planners?
Right response. As noted by the Mayor, we was reading out of the motion, there's a hell of a lot of steps, processes that have to go through before this actually does happen. It is basically a process that we're agreeing to be implemented to see whether this can be removed as a heritage site thing. So therefore, I think we should go ahead.
Question? Yes.
Is this going to be an impediment for the construction of the bypass?
Through the general manager, you can really have that answer, but I'll.
Mr Mayor, councillors, it's a matter that needs to be considered. So as part of the EIS for the bypass, there was a couple of items along the length of the bypass route where they've had to do additional investigations, archaeological investigations. I don't think this sort of thing, though, that would result in the bypass having to be redesigned. They do a heritage assessment. A decision is made as to whether the impact is significant, and well, the bypass has been approved.
To that, I would identify the location of brickworks is right apart from the bypass. The reason why it is so is the brickworks was sitting on the undisturbed land. There's disturbed land both sides, possible open cuts. That is a sliver of land that is established land, undisturbed land, which the bypass basically has to be did.
So just on that point of clarification, that's referred to. But okay. Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. We've had for discussion. I now commit that as a, does anyone else have anything to question? I'll commit that as a vote. All those in favour, if you can please raise a hand. Declared that carried, moved and carried with the exception of Councillor Bowditch. Do you wish that noted? Yes. Okay, 9.1.4, monthly report to council.
I just need to leave the room. If someone can text me when I can come back in, please.
We'll have you on. Jan, she can't hear me now. Oh yeah. That's a new thing. Can you please text me ready to text it when we come out? Monthly report to council, planning, environmental and regulatory services. The information in this contained in this report be noted.
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor, is that as previously stated in the briefing, I find some of the sign-off actions fall short of actually telling us the next stage of reports, and there were some actions where the work was ceased and there was it's not identified what is going to happen to restart that work. So I think the report as a general, overall, in some departments, the next action is always there. We know what's going to happen next. It needs to be clarified in that last column. Okay, this is where we're up to.
And I've been advised, yes, we can get better, and it was the same on the end on our last term, so we do need to get better on that.
Could I also ask, some of them I didn't mention it, right, is that it says it's 35%. I think an actual time date when it says it's ongoing to be completed, an actual date when it is
milestone.
A milestone should be identified as well.
I'm happy with that, and if you could please note that down as well. Are you happy? Moved by Councillor Bowditch now, seconded by Councillor Sculls. Any further discussion? With that vote, all those in favour, please raise a hand. Unanimous and carried. Councillor Woodruff and Councillor Douglas are in for the next one. So just for future reference, councillors, we do have a breakout room now if you are online, whereas they'll move you into a room. You don't have to move away from the computer screen you'll be moved into a room and then brought back in. Except we've just lost councillor Douglas. Move along, I'll get, sorry. She's online now, okay. Disregard that missed call, councillor Douglas. Moving on, 9.2.1, draft liquid trade waste regulatory policy, MSC 31E for public exhibition. We have the recommendation for staff in front of us. Moved by councillor Drayton, seconded by councillor, okay, you all put your hand up over this side, councillor Woodruff. Any discussion? Anything anybody to talk to or committed as a vote? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. 9.2.2, drinking water quality policy, Muswellbrook Shire MSC 30E for adoption. Moved by councillor Sculls, seconded by councillor Leckey. Any discussion? Commit that as a vote. All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. Now, the big one, 9.2.3, the Upper Hunter water treatment plant concept, which would be a fantastic thing moving forward. By councillor Woodruff and seconded by councillor Sculls. He's got you there on the shotgun at the moment, councillor Sculls. Any discussion? Anyone wish to discuss?
I'd just like to mention that it's a great concept. The quality of the water in the Hunter River is deteriorating. Our water treatment works is aging rapidly, and this is a good solution both for Upper Hunter and Muswellbrook Shire.
For both sides to work together on this and provide sustainable and water security to these residents, I think is fantastic. So councillor Sculls, councillor Woodruff, councillor Sculls, anyone else wish to speak? With that motion, all those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. Well done to staff on that one. 9.3.1, stage lot consolidation proposal for the Donald Horn Building and Town Centre. We have the council recommendation there before us. Is there someone to move that? Councillor Leckey. Second it. Councillor Woodruff. Do we have anyone to speak or any discussion on that? No? I commit that vote. All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. No doubt about who's going to move this next one, but I just wish to make an amendment, if I may, to this recommendation from 9.3.2, Dem and Recreation Area Machinery Loading Ramp, that the council agreed that liaison to be carried out with users of Dem and Recreation Area interested in a machinery loading ramp be accommodated in their user agreement. 2, in relation to the diesel rust and dust event, augmentation of the existing temporary structure is to be carried out and a staff member engaged to monitor use of the machinery loading ramp at the event and to provide induction and safety oversight for users of the ramp. And 3, council delegate to the acting general manager to progress this and endorse it for completion. Councillor Woodruff.
Yeah, happy with that.
Councillor Barry. Do we have any discussion? I mean, Councillor Woodruff obviously wishes to speak to this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the event organisers and also the community in Denman, there's a fair bit of support for this event and for this particular piece of infrastructure. Currently there's no public loading ramp within Denman, and also with the diesel dust and rust upcoming on the 26th of April, I think it is. Last year we had a little bit of an oopsie regarding that, but there's plenty of members of the community, Mr Mayor, that would be only too willing to assist council in bringing this to fruition. So I recommend the action. Thank you.
Yeah, just on the reading of that, it says council delegates the acting general manager to address this matter, just to deliver to its finality. To progress the matter to completion, sorry. Do we have any dissent to that one? Any further discussion? I can commit that motion. All those in favour, please raise a hand. That unanimous and carried. 9.4.1, 2023 half-day public holiday in relation to the 31st of March 2023 as a half-day public holiday. Motion is before us. Someone to move that way. Councillor Woodruff and Councillor Drayton. Any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. Conduct of the 2024 local government election. The Muswellbrook Council resolves on the recommendation there from council. Do I have someone to move that way? Councillor Bowditch, second by Councillor Woodruff. Any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. 9.4.3, 2022, 2020.
Sorry, can I be put in the timeout room, please?
Yes, you can be put in the timeout room for that one. Sorry, Councillor Douglas. Timeout room. You're frozen, or can you? No.
No, I'm still here. Didn't you say they would do it and I could come back in, or do I need to just leave the room?
Yeah, no, it's working on it over there. Is there a way just to mute the microphone to her, the speakers? This time it's going to take so long. Can we remove it and then re-add it straight away if that's possible, so it makes it quicker? We'll just do that, Dee, and we'll get things fixed with the communications. Okay. There's a recommendation there that for the 2022-2023 operational plan 31st of December quarterly review. Council notes the operational plan review date 31st of December 2022.
Similar comment as the previous report with regards to quality of sign-offs at the end and the actions.
Are you moving?
I'd like more detail.
Are you moving the motion?
I'll move the motion, but please note that.
Yes. Second, Councillor Barry. All those, any further discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. You can bring back Councillor Douglas now. Back from the timeout room. 9.4.4 draft corporate card policy, the MSC 28E for public exhibition. There's a motion there for it to go on 28 days exhibition and a further report to be submitted to council. Do I have Councillor Bowditch will move this one, seconded by Councillor Barry. All those in, any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that motion unanimous and carried. 9.4.5, Upper Hunter Weeds Authority request for shared audit risk and improvement committee. It's there to support the request in principle and delegate authority to the gentleman to negotiate an agreement on a cost recovery basis as per the recommendation. Do I have someone to move that way? Councillor McNeil, Councillor Marshall. All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. 9.4.6, December 2022 quarterly budget review. We have a resolution there. The council adopts the proposed changes in the December 2022 quarterly budget review. And can I just say Well done to our financial team and to the management on where we are at currently. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think the community should be very proud of what we've achieved.
I'll move that way.
Move that way, councillor Woodruff, seconded by councillor Dunn. Any discussion? Commit that motion. All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. 9.4.7 reports on investment held as at 31st of January 2023. The council notes the council's investments as of the 31st of January 2023. Someone to move that motion. Councillor Mahajan. Councillor Dunn. Any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. 9.4.8, do we have anyone? No conflict. Report on council grant funding and community engagement. The information contained in the report be noted. And can I again congratulate staff and the councillors, everyone that's putting in the hard work that we're achieving the grants that we are at the moment and the funding to put us in a better financial position. Every dollar goes a long way. So I commit that. Is that moved by councillor Sculls, seconded by councillor Barry. Any discussion? All those in favour? That unanimous and carried. 9.4.9 annual conference attendance by councillors. Just 2 seconds. Okay, thank you. Which we have councillors to attend the following events, and I asked for your nominations. If we have to, we put it to a vote. The council appointed councillor delegates to attend each of the following conferences. The local government New South Wales annual conference would be myself and 2 other councillors. It isn't something that we go along to. As you know, they're very full on and they're a great networking opportunity to not only see what's happening in other councils, but to learn from the speakers there. So really likes 2 people that hit the ground running to come along. I'd like to nominate Councillor Woodruff myself because of his significant contribution to council, and we will be nominating him for an award for service. On the provision that we've had a discussion in the general manager, which I think is fantastic, and we haven't acknowledged it before, and we'll start going through and acknowledging that. Do we have any other nomination for anyone to come along to that local government conference that's in Sydney? Councillors, anyone? Councillor Dunn? Any others? So Councillor Woodruff, do you accept that? Yes. Councillor Dunn. Declared, we'll commit them at the end. B, the Australian Local Government National General Assembly of Local Government, the Mayor and another councillor, with the Mayor also being council's voting delegate. Do we have a nomination for that one? It is in Canberra. So we've got Councillor Leckie. Do we have any other nominations? The Canberra Australian Local Government Conference, another important one. No other councillors? Okay, Councillor Leckie. That one. The Australian Local Government Women's Association, the Alba New South Wales Conference. For the ladies, there is a position available to attend that conference and represent Muswellbrook. Councillor Leckie has nominated for that. It's Deanne, is that a finger? Is that a hand nomination? No. Be careful when your head's so close to the screen and you've got a finger close to it, because it looked like you were nominating. Councillor Leckie. The Local Government New South Wales Destination and Visitor Economy Conference. Do we have council wishing to nominate for that one? Otherwise, I'll nominate myself. If there's no. Thank you very much, councillors. Local Government New South Wales Water Management Conference. Now, this is a very important one, taking our community forward. Do we have someone to put their hand up for this one? Especially, sorry?
When?
Katie, can you advise of that one?
The water is the 26th to 29th of June at Parks.
Put a big dish.
They're going to be full of water.
No, this is serious. Like, this will be one that is going to be a hot topic, and we need some strong representation at.
Tentatively, I'll put my hand up.
And, okay, Councillor Woodruff. And Councillor Scholes.
I'm not contesting it against him, I just said if he can't.
Yeah, as a reserve, yes. Okay, in F, the Local Government Aboriginal Network Conference. We have a
I'd like to
nomination.
nominate Mark Bowditch for that, please.
That came through loud and clear, I heard you. Councillor Bowditch, you've been nominated. Do you accept that nomination? Is there anyone else that wishes to nominate? No. Australian Local Government Association National Local Roads and Transport Conference. I'm happy to waive that one if anyone doesn't wish to go. Anyone? For a representation on that one?
We don't know when that's going to be.
We don't.
No. To be seen.
I think we can defer that one. And the Waste Conference. It's another research. Councillor Scholes. We'll defer G. So the following councillors to represent Muswellbrook Shire Council at the functions are Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference, myself, Councillor Woodruff and Councillor Dunn. The Australian Local Government National General Assembly, myself and Councillor Leckie. The Australian Local Government Women's Association, Alba Councillor Leckie. Destination and Visitor Economy Conference is myself. I'll have some discussions with others afterwards. The Local Government New South Wales Water Management Conference is Councillor Woodruff with Councillor Scholes in reserve. Councillor Bowditch for the Local Government Aboriginal Network Conference. Deferred G until further information, and Councillor Scholes for the Waste. It does say council reimburses expenses in accordance with the MSC 02E council expenses and facilities policies, and arrangements be made for registration, accommodation and travel to the conferences.
There's one more part.
Over the page, sorry, council delegates provide a written report for the information of council within 3 months of the conference attended, which I think is fair too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have someone to move that motion? Councillor Barry, second by Councillor Marshall. Any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. Country Mayors Association of New South Wales membership. The council endorses the membership to the Country Mayors Association of New South Wales and the relevant membership fees be paid. As I spoke in the briefing session, I see great value in this moving forward, especially with having direct access to ministers besides our obvious political people in the room that have relationships, and it's a great opportunity to advocate for our Shire, but to also for us to formulate what we want in the advocacy document. $750 a year. Does someone wish to move that? Councillor McNeil, Councillor Leckie. Any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. 9.5.1, theme of the 2023 Blue Heeler Film Festival. The council endorses Blue as the Blue Heeler Film Festival to 2023 theme. Councillor Bowditch, seconded by Councillor Mahajan. Any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. Federal government funding for Trove. As you can see, we've got the resolution there before us that we've discussed with regards to, as our council staff members spoke about, how important it is for our community. Councillor,
Yeah, can I just also, yeah, I'll move that.
you'll move that way. Seconded by Councillor Scholes. You wish to speak to it?
Yeah, I just think we need to support the going forward of this great tool that we have. Anyone that's used it, especially in their jobs, I use it all the time in mine. And, you know, as I say, that's a bit of money that they need to operate it, but I think it's something that, you know, if they can give 3 million to an administration, sure we should be able to come up with this to operate this. I advise and recommend the motion that we try and.
I just like to endorse that, but someone has also had used it in the previous role. Sorry, we need that asset, we need that information.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak against? All those in motion, all those in favour, please raise your hand. That unanimous and carried. Moving over the page to community services, 9.5.3. Anyone conflicted in that one? No. Information contained in this report be noted. Time to do that motion. Councillor Woodruff and Councillor Barry. All those, any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. 10.1, the Event Steering Committee meeting minutes from the 17th of the 1st, 2023 and 31st of the 1st, 2023. You have someone to move that motion. Councillor Deanne Douglas and Councillor Marshall on screen, both hands went up. Any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. The Muswellbrook Bypass Advisory, 10.2, the Muswellbrook Bypass Advisory Committee, 19th of the 1st, 2023. Moved by Councillor Scholes, seconded by Can I just get a seconder first? Is that all right?
Get a second.
Sorry, Councillor Dunn, but yes, Councillor Dunn, seconded, yes.
There's been, I know there's been another meeting since that one. This thing, and it's not in the council papers. I just wondered why.
When I was absent from.
Yeah, so you're absent.
It'll be reported next council meeting, Councillor Scholes, yes.
Report we've got there's a two meetings off.
Thank you very much, Councillor Scholes. That'll be done. Commit that motion. All those in favour, please raise a hand. That unanimous and carried. 10.3, the Local Traffic Committee meetings for the 14th of the 2nd, 2023 and 21st of the 2nd, 2023. Moved by Councillor Dowdy, seconded by Councillor Marshall.
I'll just make a comment. I just want to, I know it's not to do with that, but it's to do with the traffic committee. I just want to take my hat off to the team working on that with the traffic teams trying to coordinate everything coming up on Rothman Brook. This is a fantastic job, and take my hat off for what they're doing.
And as the General Manager said to me today, that traffic plan is going to be very invaluable moving forward with that precinct having that locked in place. So, all those in favour, motion, all those in favour? And declare that unanimous and carried. 10.4, the Olympic Park Precinct Development Advisory Committee. That the minutes for the Olympic Park be noted. Someone moved that way. Councillor Barry, Councillor, you're nodding at me like you're bidding. Yep. Councillor McNeil. Any discussion? All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. 11.1, notice of motion from Councillor McNeil. We've heard the discussion, but we have the motion there before us. Do we have someone to?
Has to move the motion.
You've moved the motion, Councillor. Okay, thank you. Sorry. We have someone to second the motion. Councillor Mahajan. Do we have any objections? Anyone to? Okay.
Well, I'd like to
speak to it.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to it, but initially I'd like to move an amendment that the cap be in light of what the executive manager explained in terms of potential length of these applications, increase the cap to 30 hours.
The cap?
Yeah, Part D.
That's a monetary value. It's $2,000 per determination.
Right.
Yeah. says payments are capped to a maximum of $2,000
which is
per.
equated to 20 hours.
No, that's not formulated in the minute.
Well, I'll move an amendment to 3,000.
Are you happy with the $3,000, councillor Martin? Yeah. Do you have anyone to speak against the motion?
Well,
You can speak to the motion. You made the amendment.
I'll speak to the motion. Look, it's a critically important position. It's not about Mr. Taylor, it's about the position. Critically important outcomes, consequences. We only have to reflect with what's going on at Martindale. And if we get that wrong, and we're thinking back, quibbling over a few $100, it's just, to me, it's out of perspective. I reflect back to the situation I have at work. I'm a control, engineering control technician. I have a control engineer locally. And we coordinate, we work on the coordinated controls of the power station. We're paid well. But we employ a contractor for $3,000 an hour to do the intricate tuning of that coordinated controls, and that can deliver us $50,000 to $100,000 in saved coal costs over the day. So just want to emphasise, don't be penny wise, pound foolish. This is a very critical position. We want to attract the best people to it. And we want to build a relationship with those people to build our community, to make the best decisions and, do what's the best thing for our community. Thank you.
Is Mr. Hogan still online, or is he?
No, sorry.
So we can know about financial implications. Are we aware of any? Yeah, what would be? Sorry, through you, Mr.
Yes.
Manager, if I can. Yes, Dean.
So, Mr. Mayor and councillors, this financial year, we were looking to fund the payments through savings in the Heritage Advisor budget. The Heritage Advisor has been working remotely and only attending Muswellbrook on occasion, so we've got some salary savings there. So we were going to fund it from that source this year. Next year, this will be a new line item in the budget that council will have to consider as part of the budget process.
Point of clarification, or yeah?
Can I ask,
Through.
just a simple question. You did allude to in the briefing that there was potentially a requirement of beginning to need 4 of it to be.
So, Mr. Mayor and councillors, that's correct. The state government's indicated they would like us to have 4 panel member options. There would only be 2 panel members attend any particular meeting for a development application, which is what happens at the moment. It's two nominated members, but they would like 4 because they wish us to rotate them application by application. So it's not just those 2 people for a 3-year period dealing with every single application. So we will need to go out and recruit additional people or nominate additional people.
Also, Mr. Mayor, given the light and some of Mr. Taylor's comments about we already have a staff member and potentially in the past we've had councillors, so I'm assuming, stand corrected, that those people would be in line for payment too if this motion gets up.
Correct. I believe so. Okay, the councillor would, therefore, if we may endorse this right now, would be.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, councillors, with the staff member, because they're doing the role during work hours, they're paid a salary. We wouldn't pay them as
But the
these
councillor.
rates. But potentially, if council wishes to pay a councillor to attend the panel meetings, then these would be the rates we pay them as well.
As we heard, the previous council.
So supplementary, if I may, if we don't have, Mr. Sculls in the capacity as an engineering, we went to 4 community members, everybody would be.
Well, if those 2 people that attend that meeting would be required to be paid for that hearing determination on that value, if there's no staff member.
So the other 2 people potentially sit in the wings, and what would be the changeover and therefore the remuneration across the 4? I don't know, let's say we have 4 JRPPs a year, 2 people sit on each one, so that remuneration would be times 4 divided by 2.
Councillors, that's my understanding. This would be the pay rate for each panel member that is council's representative. The state government covers
Per determination.
Then with the movers' request, maybe this could be held over until we have some way to determine what it's going to cost council and how we're going to fund it. Is there a reason that it has to be determined tonight?
Take that back to the question of.
No, I've got no problem with that. Just for clarification, if there's going to be 2 more alternates, you said. So if we have an application, do all 4 of them get paid for that application?
And if there's
There's no additional cost.
No, it is. If it's not a staff member, sorry, I'll leave it this way. If it's 2 independent, they are paid. If it's an independent and council goes this way, the independent and the council get paid. Staff is on staffing hours and their resources. So that could be Councillor Sculls and another person independent paid that rate. So that'd take it to a total potentially of $6,000 per determination.
Through the chair, if a staff member has to attend, a site visit on a weekend, are they still under their salary, or is this classify them outside of their salary because it's a weekend attendance? Is this an extra cost? I couldn't believe that they do that on the weekend.
So, Mr. Mayor, councillors, the panel always holds their inspections during the week. I know that because we have to organise everything for it to actually happen. But yes, it's usually done during standard office hours.
We have a mover and a seconder with an amendment over here for the 3,000, seconded by, do you wish to defer the item now?
Well, I have to retract my motion. Is that
Well,
correct?
Councillor Woodruff's foreshadowing a motion to have it deferred. So we'll commit the vote at the motion of the $3,000. So I'll ask that.
No, I think I'll withdraw my motion.
Wish to withdraw your motion?
I'll withdraw my motion, and I'll second the motion put by Councillor Woodruff.
You're moving the motion. You're moving the motion because it's yours. And you have Councillor Woodruff then second that. Yep. So all those in favour of deferring this item, or is there any other discussion to be had? All those in favour to defer the item, please raise your hand. There, that's unanimous and carried. Councillor reports. No councillor reports. Written questions. We've got the investigation of installation of retaining wall levy from Muswell Creek to beyond Barn Betts. That council notes the information contained in this report. Are you happy with that, Councillor Bowditch? Yes.
Yes, I'm happy with the report. I just want to say council staff went a long way back and done a great job in obtaining all the information going forward. But I still do believe we're putting a monetary cost on people's houses, and there's still something down the track further we need to look at saving property over the value of the dollar.
And that's highlighted in the report. As we said, there are other higher risk properties at the moment that we're going to have to address.
I'll second it.
Second.
I'd also like to make a comment with regards to the quality of the report, the extent of the report, and I thoroughly recommend anyone in the community, especially who's got a house, have a good read of that report, because it is actually on the public's public access site now. It's a lot of pages, but it's a lot of information. It's extremely informative, and I channel Great Shire.
And just on that, given the flood study and the what's happened, we've seen at Lismore, I've spoken to, I think it was yourself and another person in relation to the costs of insurance have gone up through the roof at the moment for people in flood prone areas. I had a member of the public call me that was about $2,400 a year per annum, and it was literally $24,000, and they were given a phone call to give them the heads up by the insurance company. So, yeah.
They don't cover the flood.
I just thought,
The only reason why I'm going with it, very good remember, I got a phone call to send a team to down the Murray River when they decided to put that levee bank, cut half the houses off and put them on the riverside of the levee bank. That was difficult talking to those people, very difficult. So I just don't want that to happen here.
Second, councillor.
Yeah, just another thing. With regards to one issue I can see potentially down the track, if you look at the different options, the 3 different levies that they looked at in that particular reports, it actually identifies in some of those situations where the actual installable levy affects a lot of houses, but actually impacts on others. And I'd like to have some understanding of where council's liability is if by constructing the levy, we now inundate a house that wasn't inundated before.
Correct. Water has to go somewhere, as we all know, its own way, and actually increase the wall on one side. Okay, so moved by councillor Bowdy, seconded by councillor Sculls. All those in favour, please raise a hand. Declare that unanimous and carried. Brings us to the questions for the next meeting.
yes, I have a question. Last week, I sent an email out to all councillors. I think I copied Ms. Welshman and the general manager. It was regarding attendance by councillors primarily at a VIP marquee at the Rock and the Brook event this weekend. Councillors probably agree that I was quite upset about the fact that councillors were being involved or getting invited so much to a VIP marquee. I just want to explain myself before I ask the question. The reason for my being upset is the key role or the key idea of the grant was, I think it was called One Community, were the words they used. It was bringing the community together as one. So everyone was equal. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a very good quality concert. You would pay, I would imagine you would pay. My wife probably buys the tickets most of the time, but I think it pays about 60 or 70 or 80 bucks or something each one. So it's about that quality of concert. But it didn't matter whether you had the ability to buy a ticket or didn't have to buy a ticket. Everyone just had to get on the book and everyone was there together. So we're all in together. We're all treated as equal. Well, it appears that some may feel they're more equal than others. I think it's a really bad move for councillors, for a VIP marquee to be set up. I guess I understand the VIP marquee in this sense that we have some corporate sponsorship. It's not unusual for corporate sponsorship and for those people providing the corporate sponsorship to be housed in a marquee. But for councillors and government representatives, in fact, state government representatives, whoever it might be, it's state government money. So there's three areas of funding for the concert. That's the state government grant, it's the sponsorship, and it's also community money, ratepayers money. So council, when I say council money, I don't want to council money, but it's ratepayers money. They're the three groups for the funding. And I think it's a really poor look for councillors to be standing in a marquee. And I quote the email. You're standing in a marquee that have great views of the stage and seating. So I guess it's at the front somewhere. So great views of the stage and seating, and a beverage caravan and snacks will be provided. We sit here all the time. We talk about the financial position we're in, but particularly, as I say, I think it highlights, certainly highlights us, or us when I say us, speaking of councils, not on behalf of councillors, but as a councillor, highlights more the fact that it's meant to be, this one community type role where everyone's treated as equal. And that certainly doesn't appear to me to be the case that, everyone might be at the concert and here they are looking at councillors standing in a VIP marquee, separated from the rest of the community. And the whole idea was that we're all as one. I won't go back and rehash the email I sent last week. I mean, even as late as tonight, it was in the statement from the heart. I mean, the federal government recognised as the closest level of government to their communities. That's us. So when they're the people that elect us, they're the people who put us here, and we are the closest level of government. So we're the closest level, hopefully, presumably closest level, understand our community better than anyone, except for the fact that when it comes to a chance to be in a VIP marquee, light snacks and beverage caravan provided, we might choose to do it. I think it'll do enormous harm to this council. I think it'll do enormous harm to council laws. And I guess I'm not here to make decisions for councillors. They make their own decisions for councillors. But I would like a list, if I could, of people who I don't know, because this was the invites. The invitees were for a councillor and a second person. I don't think it even said partner, it just said second person. So there was two tickets per councillors. So the question is, we'll be able to get a list of the people who were invited into this VIP marquee, the people who were invited into it, and people who have accepted it. So I think it's a really, really bad move. And I think it'll do enormous damage to both the organisation and us as a group of councillors. Thank you.
Yeah, that's no problem. I can answer most of that now. I've had a meeting today. The VIP tent has been discussed as the subcommittee that you sit on, Councillor Drayton, on numerous occasions. We've saved costs in relation to the second stage that has had to move away due to, and any councillors can attend these meetings. That's what we've opened up these committees to this term. The thing being is we have some large amounts of money coming in for corporate sponsorship that these people do deserve to be recognised and encouraged to continue to participate and provide funds. That's how sponsorship works and partnerships with any group. Councillors, we made it an 18 plus, and we had requests from people, can they bring their 2-year-old, their 3-year-old as family that are on this, and purely said no. I have a 3-year-old son. I'll be attending. I've got duties to do to say thank you to the sponsors for funding this event. I won't be spending my time in the tent all along. I'll be in there to thank them, do the right thing, and I'm spending time outside with my family just like most people will, but I can come and go. And that's the whole thing, is to say thank you. We're a council that's trying to work with our industries, and I think that by doing this, and they've come on board with it, I think it's a fantastic thing, and the slightest thing we can do is to give them a VIP ticket to say thank you for your sponsorship, instead of being a council that sits back and says, this is what we want. The community's been crying out for community events. We're putting it on, we're delivering. We've got so many events. The New Year's Eve firelights, there's a bit of criticism about trying to do that after the Christmas spectacular. I think it was one of the best things we've seen, and we've been asked to put it on again this year. So I'll take that on notice, and I'll get Shailene, our Department of Community and People Economy to provide that list. That's no problem at all. I was led to believe it, but I'll clarify, but it was to be in partner. So, yeah.
Sorry, but you must have misunderstood the question or didn't hear what I said. I spoke about the corporate sponsorship, but I understand that it's quite commonplace for corporate sponsors to be in a VIP marquee. I don't speak on behalf of the corporate sponsors. I don't speak on behalf of the fact they could be in there. I mean, they are the ones, and of course it's the same. It's quite good corporate sponsors, as we've seen a lot of them out of the industry. Some not out of the industry. One of them was Austin. So I don't oppose the fact that corporate sponsors would be in the VIP market. It's not. It isn't unusual. What is unusual is the theme of the whole day. The theme of the whole day is we bring the community to. The words are we bring the community together as one. I don't know how you do that when we wine and dine. They're my words. When we wine and dine and councillors in a VIP marquee. I mean, if there's anyone in the room think that they're a very important person, more so than anyone else attending this weekend, I'm probably in the wrong room.
Well, I'll take that on notice and provide a response. Question with notice?
No, I would just like to say fully endorse Councillor Drayton's views. I myself bought a ticket online. I'll be attending as Rod Scholes. I have to be a councillor, but I'll be attending as Rod Scholes, and I'm not walking into a VIP.
That's fine. I appreciate that, but I do appreciate the councils after all the money that we're receiving that will be coming to acknowledge our sponsors.
I just got one question. Do you think the sponsors will be offended if the council is done?
I've spoken to a couple and highlighted, but that's a question for the next meeting and I'll provide a written response.
I think you should do, I've got no problem with you being there, thanking the sponsors on behalf of the council. No problem.
I think we've done a fantastic job in the past 12 months in grant funding and achieving money that it's not saying, oh, we're a very important person, but to go in there, acknowledge these people that we're also going to be working through some of the hardest times with. I think every councillor should take the opportunity of to show a little bit of respect, feedback. I'm not saying you have to stay in there and have the drink, but it's the right thing to do. Any other councillor questions for the next meeting?
I'd just like to say that I will be going in the VI tent, but it's not because of any other reason other than the fact that I'm not going to be able to go too far anywhere else.
He's in a wheelchair.
No problem. Have a motion to go into closed council. Councillor Bowditch, seconded by Councillor McNeil. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Unanimous and carried. I'll get.
Thank you.
Can you take that off the screen? Sorry, guys.
Okay. I'll pull it out.
Just to close council. You're gonna have to do the close council thing.
Doing it right now. Okay, in relation to our closed council items tonight that we were adjourned into, upgrade to Hill Street, roadworks and car parking upgrade tender assessment was approved by, as per councillor's recommendation. 16.2 has been deferred for further information from council staff. 16.3, the request for quotation Golden Highway asphalt patching variation was resolved by council unanimously. The state government welcome concierge pilot program, which is going to be very exciting, was voted upon unanimously. The solar panel installation that was delegated to the general manager. What was the wording, Paul? Excuse?
To re-engage.
Re-engage with the company in relation to council's position on the matter. 16.6, the Campbell's Corner draft deed of settlement was agreed upon as per council's recommendation. Northview Water Main easement, council endorses an easement. It was moved unanimously as per the recommendation. 16.8, the sale of Block 18 Glen Munro Road, Muswellbrook was moved and carried and as per the resolution by council. And 16.9, the investigation of complaint was moved and resolved as per the recommendation by council. I'd like to thank the councillors, the public participation that came along here, the council staff, and especially to the two on the screen. Hope things get better. And again, thank you to everyone, media included.
See you on Saturday.
Thanks.
We can all go to the time out room now.